The rust-colored planet hung against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars as Captain Reese Harrison stood at the bridge of the UES Stormbreaker. Their mission had been simple: establish humanity's first deep space monitoring post beyond the Kuiper Belt. Yet the universe, as always, had other plans. Contact. Lieutenant Nadia Santos called from her sensor station, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. 3 vessels, unknown configuration, approaching from the direction of Proxima Centauri. Harrison's weathered face remained impassive, though his heart raced. Humanity had prepared for this moment for centuries, but preparation and reality were entirely different beasts. "Show me." The main display flickered to life, revealing 3 sleek vessels that resembled polished silver arrowheads. They moved with a grace that spoke of technological mastery far beyond Earth's current capabilities, or at least beyond what Earth publicly admitted to possessing. "They're scanning us," Santos reported. "Their energy signatures are incredible. Each ship is outputting more power than a small city." Harrison straightened his midnight blue uniform. "Initiate first contact protocols. Dr. Patel, ready the universal translator. Lieutenant Chen, passive defenses only. Let's not give our new friends any reason for concern." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, each member following procedures they drilled countless times. The Stormbreaker might have appeared primitive compared to the approaching vessels, but appearances could be deceiving. The alien ships drew closer, their scanning beams intensifying. Harrison felt a slight tremor through the deck plates as the Stormbreaker's adaptive hull absorbed and redirected the energy. Another human innovation carefully disguised as structural reinforcement. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer James Rodriguez announced. "Audio and visual." Harrison nodded. On screen, the alien that appeared on the main display was breathtaking. Its skin shimmered like mother of pearl, and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern studied the human bridge crew with obvious intelligence. When it spoke, its words were translated into English with only a slight delay. "Unknown vessel, you have entered territory claimed by the Meridian Empire. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Harrison stepped forward, his voice clear and steady. "I am Captain Reese Harrison of the United Earth ship Stormbreaker. We are an exploratory vessel from Earth, establishing a scientific outpost. We come in peace and welcome this opportunity for dialogue." The alien's upper eyes narrowed slightly. "Earth, we have no record of your species or your world. Our scans indicate your vessel uses primitive propulsion and power systems. How did you reach this sector?" "We are a young spacefaring species," Harrison replied carefully. "We've recently developed faster-than-light travel through our own methods. We would be happy to share information about our civilization as part of peaceful diplomatic exchange." The alien commander seemed to consider this. "Your vessel will be escorted to the nearest Meridian outpost for inspection and verification of your claims. Prepare to receive a boarding party." Harrison's expression didn't change, but his tone carried a hint of steel. "With respect, we cannot allow boarding at this time. Our quarantine protocols." "This is not a request," the alien commander interrupted. "The Meridian Empire maintains order in this sector. Unregistered vessels must submit to inspection. Your primitive ship poses no challenge to our authority. Comply, or we will be forced to demonstrate why the Empire has remained unchallenged for 10,000 years." The bridge fell silent. Harrison could feel the tension radiating from his crew. Everything hinged on his next words. Earth's carefully maintained secrecy, humanity's plans for gradual revelation of their capabilities. All of it could be undone in the next few moments. "I understand," Harrison said softly. "But I should warn you, appearances can be deceiving. We would strongly prefer to handle this diplomatically." The alien commander's skin rippled with what might have been amusement. "Your bravery is admirable, but misplaced. Lock tractor beams and prepare boarding pods." Harrison sighed and touched a control on his chair. "Initiative Omega. Authorization Harrison, 79 Delta." The Stormbreaker's hull began to shift, panels realigning as hidden systems came online. The alien vessel's tractor beams struck shields that hadn't existed moments before, their energy dispersing harmlessly into space. By the eternal light, the alien commander breathed. "What is this?" "This," Harrison replied, "is why humanity learned to hide its strength. We didn't want our first contact to begin this way, but we won't be taken prisoner. Shall we try diplomacy again?" The alien commander's response was to open fire, energy weapons lashing out at the Stormbreaker. The human vessel's shields absorbed the attacks, storing the energy for later use, another capability that would have seemed impossible based on their apparent technology level. "All stations," Harrison commanded, "defensive pattern Delta. Show them what humanity can do when pushed, but remember, minimal force. We're still hoping to make friends here." The battle that followed would change the galaxy's understanding of warfare, diplomacy, and the dangers of underestimating a species based on appearances. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, other human ships received the signal they'd been waiting for. First contact had finally arrived, though not quite as planned. The game of shadows was about to begin. Admiral Jun Takeshi stood before the holographic display in Earth's Strategic Command Center, watching the diplomatic crisis unfold. The massive underground facility, buried beneath the Himalayan mountains, hummed with activity as analysts and officers processed the data streaming in from the Stormbreaker's encounter. "The Meridian Empire," Takeshi mused, his silver-streaked hair catching the blue light from the displays. "They've revealed more about themselves by trying to scan us than they realize." Dr. Olivia Blackwood, Earth's leading xenotechnology analyst, manipulated the holographic data with practiced gestures. Her dark skin contrasted with the white laboratory coat that marked her as part of the scientific division. "Their scanning technology is impressive, but predictable. They rely too heavily on energy-based detection methods, which is exactly why our adaptive hull technology works so well against them." Takeshi nodded. "What concerns me is their reaction. They moved to forced boarding far too quickly." The command center's eye, designation Centennial, spoke through hidden speakers. "Analysis of meridian communication patterns suggests a highly hierarchical society. Their immediate resort to force indicates a civilization unused to resistance or diplomatic equals." Takeshi watched as new data streamed in. The Stormbreaker had successfully deflected the Meridian attack without revealing their full capabilities, but the situation was escalating. More Meridian ships were entering the sector. "We knew this day would come," he said quietly. "Time to implement Phase 2. Dr. Blackwood, prepare the deception packages. Lieutenant Rivera, signal the Shadow Fleet." The next few hours were a careful dance of technology and misdirection. While the Stormbreaker appeared to be alone and defending itself, dozens of hidden human vessels moved into position, their presence masked by technology that had been developed through centuries of human conflict and innovation. In high orbit above the rust-colored planet, the Meridian fleet grew to 12 ships. Their commander, Supreme Executor Valak, was furious. His pearl-like skin had darkened to an angry gray as report after report showed their inability to overcome the single human vessel's defenses. "Impossible," he snarled to his bridge crew. "Their technology is primitive. Our scans confirmed it. How are they blocking our weapons?" His science officer, a being of crystalline structure named Zareth, studied the readings with growing concern. "Sir, I believe they're not just blocking our weapons. They're absorbing the energy. But the power requirements for such technology should be beyond their capabilities," Valak finished. "Yet here we are. Prepare the resonance cannons. Let's see how they handle our ultimate weapons." Back on Earth, Takeshi watched the Meridian fleet's power signatures spike. "They're about to show us something interesting," he said. "Centennial analysis. Energy buildup suggests a weapon system utilizing quantum resonance principles," the AI responded. "Similar to Project Aurora, but less efficient." Takeshi allowed himself a small smile. "Perfect. Dr. Blackwood, Implement protocol mirror. Let's show them what happens when you push too hard. As the Meridian resonance cannons fired, something unexpected happened. The beam struck the Stormbreaker's shields and seemed to shatter, splitting into dozens of smaller energy streams that curved through space like dancers in a cosmic ballet. Each stream found its way back to a Meridian vessel, bypassing their shields through precisely calculated frequency matches. The alien fleet's weapons went dead, their power systems temporarily overloaded by their own energy turned against them. In the silence that followed, Takeshi opened a channel to all Meridian vessels. This is Admiral Jun Takeshi of the United Earth Defense Force. Your weapons have been temporarily disabled. No permanent damage has been done to your ships or crews. We wish to demonstrate that we could have destroyed your vessels, but chose not to. Now shall we discuss peaceful diplomatic relations. On his flagship, Valak stared at the tactical display in shock. Not only had the humans survived their most powerful weapons, but they had turned that power back against them with seemingly impossible precision. Worse, his sensors were now picking up ghost readings, hints of other vessels that appeared and disappeared too quickly to track. Supreme Executor, Zareth said quietly, I believe we may have gravely underestimated this species. In the Himalayan Command Center, Dr. Blackwood approached Takeshi with a data tablet. The deception packages are working perfectly. Every time they try to scan beyond the Stormbreaker, they get conflicting readings. As far as their sensors can tell, we might have one ship or 1,000. Humanity's greatest strength, Takeshi replied, has always been our ability to turn our weaknesses into advantages. We learned to hide because we had to, learn to absorb and redirect energy because we couldn't match our enemy's power. Now those lessons will help us establish peace from a position of strength. Sin and Tai'el's voice carried a note of warning. Admiral, long-range sensors detect multiple quantum space distortions. The Meridian Empire appears to be sending reinforcements. Estimated arrival time, 6 hours. Takeshi nodded, unsurprised. Good. That gives us time to prepare Phase 3. Send word to Ambassador Walsh. Tell him to prepare for early deployment. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity is ready for a seat at the table, but we'll be choosing which chair we take. As orders went out across the solar system, hidden shipyards and defense platforms began to power up. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, building layers of deception and capability that went far beyond what any single demonstration could reveal. The game was entering its next phase, and the stakes were about to get much higher. The art of deception, after all, wasn't just about hiding your weaknesses. It was about choosing the perfect moment to reveal your strength. Defense Commander Prionair watched as the quantum distortions bloomed into reality, bringing with them the might of the Meridian Empire. 50 warships, each one larger than the first response fleet, emerged in perfect formation. Their hulls gleamed with ornate markings that spoke of a civilization confident in its power and authority. Well, she said from her command chair aboard the stealth vessel Shadowdancer, they certainly know how to make an entrance. The Shadowdancer hung invisible in space, its presence masked by technologies that the Meridians couldn't even imagine. Around her, 20 other human vessels waited in similar states of non-existence, watching and gathering data. Grand Marshal Ixal of the Meridian Empire stood on his flagship's command deck, his pearl-like skin now tinted with bands of gold that marked his supreme rank. Status report on the human vessel, he demanded. The vessel designated Stormbreaker remains in position, Grand Marshal, his tactical officer reported. Their shields are still active, but our new scanning protocols detect no other human ships in the sector. Ixal's 4 eyes narrowed. Begin the ultimatum broadcast. The message that boomed across space was designed to inspire awe and fear. Attention, human vessel. You face the combined fleet of the Meridian Empire. Your defiance ends now. Surrender and prepare for boarding or be destroyed. You have 5 minutes to comply. In the Himalayan Command Center, Admiral Takeshi received the transmission with a calm smile. Right on schedule. Commander Nair, You may proceed with protocol revelation. Aboard the Shadow Dancer, Pioneer gave the order that humanity had prepared for centuries. All ships, initiate quantum field synchronization. Let's show them what evolution's children can really do. The space around the Meridian fleet suddenly came alive with energy signatures. The human stealth ships dropped their cloaking fields in perfect synchronization, but not in the way the Meridians expected. Instead of simply appearing, they created a cascading wave of quantum distortions that rippled through space itself. The Meridian sensors went wild. Where their scans had shown empty space moments before, they now detected hundreds of energy signatures, each one shifting and changing faster than their computers could analyze. The human ships weren't just revealing themselves. They were demonstrating mastery over the very fabric of space-time. Impossible. Ixal shouted as his tactical display became a chaos of shifting data. Their technology, it's beyond anything in our records. The human vessels began to move, but not as individual ships. They flowed together like mercury, their quantum fields interacting in ways that defied conventional physics. The Meridian fleet found itself surrounded by what appeared to be a living constellation of human technology. Ambassador Durek Walsh stood calmly on the bridge of the Shadow Dancer as the final act began. His weathered face showed the wisdom of centuries of human preparation, and his voice carried the weight of history as he opened a channel to the Meridian flagship. Grand Marshal Ixal, he said, I am Ambassador Durek Walsh of Earth. What you're witnessing is not a weapon or a threat. It's an invitation to understand. The quantum dance of the human fleet continued, creating patterns in space that told a story without words. It was a display of technology so advanced that it bordered on art, yet every movement served a precise purpose. You see, Walsh continued, humanity evolved differently than most species. We grew up on a world that tried to kill us every day. We fought ourselves, nearly destroyed ourselves, and in doing so, we learned something profound. True strength lies not in the power to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when not to. On his flagship, Ixal watched in fascination as the human ships demonstrated capabilities that his civilization had deemed theoretically impossible. You could have destroyed our first fleet. You could be destroying us now. Walsh smiled. We could, but that's not why we're here. Humanity doesn't seek conquest or dominance. We seek understanding, partnership, and mutual growth. Your empire has stood for 10,000 years. Imagine what we could learn from each other. The quantum field surrounding the Meridian fleet shifted again, and suddenly every alien ship found itself bathed in a soft golden light. Their sensors reported something extraordinary. Their weapons were still functional, but their energy signatures had been fundamentally altered, transformed into something more efficient, more powerful. A gift, Walsh explained. A small demonstration of what cooperation between our peoples could achieve. Your weapons now operate at 150% efficiency, while consuming 30% less energy. Consider it a down payment on our future relationship. Ixal's tactical officer stared at his readings in wonder. Grand Marshal, he speaks the truth. They've upgraded our weapons without even boarding our ships. The technology to do this, it's beyond anything in our records. The ambassador's voice carried a note of gentle amusement. The galaxy is entering a new age, Grand Marshal. Humanity would be honored to help guide that transition, not as conquerors or subjects, but as partners. After all, we're all evolution's children, each with our own lessons to teach. The quantum display around the Meridian fleet began to fade, human ships returning to their normal states. But now the aliens could see them clearly, vessels that combined art and science in ways that spoke of a civilization that had transcended the usual boundaries between the two. You understand now, Walsh said, why we initially appeared primitive. We learned long ago that true power lies not in showing your strength, but in choosing the right moment to reveal it. The Meridian Empire has much to teach us about stability and unity across the stars. In return, we can show you why sometimes the most important evolution happens in the shadows. Ixal was silent for a long moment, his skin shifting through colors as he processed everything he had witnessed. Finally, he spoke. "Ambassador Walsh, I believe it's time we had a proper diplomatic discussion. Perhaps over a meal. I would be honored to host you aboard my flagship." Walsh's smile broadened. "We would be delighted, Grand Marshal, though I should warn you, human diplomatic dinners can sometimes last for days. We find that the best relationships are built not through demonstrations of power, but through sharing stories over good food and better conversation." As preparations began for the first official diplomatic meeting between humanity and the Meridian Empire, Admiral Takeshi and Commander Nair watched from their respective posts. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy not with conquest or submission, but with a perfect balance of strength and wisdom. "You know," Nair said over a private channel to Takeshi, "I think this might be the beginning of something truly extraordinary." Takeshi nodded. "Indeed. After all, the best stories don't end with a victory or defeat. They end with a beginning." And as the human and Meridian ships began their careful dance of diplomatic protocols, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging that evolution had taken another step forward in its endless dance.